When you go to Google News under Pueblo, Colorado, it has three stories, one from KRDO, one from Pueblo Chieftain, and one from KKTV 11 News. And the KKTV 11 News, this is such shoddy reporting. Okay, so the two stories, the two Colorado explosions, one is going to be a ball glass explodes in the refrigerator, and then the ball glass explodes, so it's like the pop, like soda pop, right? But then the other one was a gas line. A gas line exploded in a man's basement, and two men were killed. And so one is related to marijuana, one's related to drugs, and the other one is a corporate gas line. Guess who gets in trouble? Guess who gets arrested? Not the corporate. There's hardly any names on this KKTV write-up at all, okay? It's just the KKTV website, and they say who the suspects are. It says man and woman, husband and wife. We'll just Michael and his wife. Okay, so Michael and his wife, they're in the 25,000 block of Pleasant View Place, and it happened about 2 a.m. on Tuesday, so yesterday, May the 2nd. And he's the one that called the police. Michael is the one who's going to call the police. He gave them permission to search the home and the property. Okay, so I think the problem was he had lied to him, and he said that, somebody put a stick of dynamite in his refrigerator, and he was the one that called the police. So I don't know why he would have called the police. Maybe it was a big, loud explosion. He was trying to cover all his bases, but it's probably the lie that I don't see anybody's name. Nobody wrote this article, and then none of the authorities are named. None of the cops are named. They said it was the sheriff's office, but is it the sheriff himself? So you have all these goons going around sitting there. Okay, so let me tell you the whole thing. Okay, so the guy's making hash oil, and the hash oil, they're making it sound like it's his lab. They're saying it's his, it makes me think of like a meth lab. So I don't know actually the chemistry of hash oil, but I think it's just soaking it, marijuana in alcohol. And so I don't know what he did when I suspect that he put all these ball glasses in the refrigerator, and then he went to bed, and then they just, water expands in the cold, and so they broke out of the glass, and then they all just started popping, and they all busted, and then they kind of blew up the refrigerator. So, and then I bet they took the refrigerator outside. Now, he calls, 911. He calls the sheriff, so he's probably, just being a good... they see the refrigerator. It's in the patio area of the home, and they said that the refrigerator was destroyed. Deputies also discovered several small pieces of suspected marijuana in the refrigerator and on the back porch. Suspected marijuana. I suspect this might be marijuana. Should be pretty clear if it's marijuana or not, but maybe it's like what? Just looks like pieces of grass turned into mush. So he's, the homeowner, 41-year-old Michael, he's the one that called the, police. The Pueblo Metro Bomb Squad called to the scene, and then they find butane canisters, plastic packaging bags. That's the term they use. He's got some plastic packaging bags, and unless they're, are they just Ziploc bags? Is that what they're talking about? Plastic packaging bags and suspected marijuana. They say that they found a torn trash bag filled with suspected marijuana plants. I suspect this might be marijuana plants. Broken glass jars and pieces of insulation from the refrigerator. So it sounds exactly like the way I'm talking. I'm not a chemist when it comes to, hash oil, but they're making it sound like it's hash oil lab. It's a laboratory when they finish manufacturing their process, their product, they soaked marijuana and alcohol, and then they took like the residue from it, put it in a jar, put it in the refrigerator or in the freezer, and then the expansion of the liquid in the glass jars caused it to explode. And so, it said he called 911, and then he's cleaning up from the incident. So I think he's just like, big explosion. Hey, everybody, it's okay. It was in my house. It's not. There's no bombs. Nobody's being attacked. He calls 911, and then he's cleaning up the mess, and then he gets his wife, 39-year-old wife, to help clean some of the, the glass and some of the marijuana mess, and She puts it into her vehicle, and then she was going to drive it and drop it off someplace, right? Probably find a dumpster somewhere. But guess what? Our heroes to the rescue, deputies, found her, made sure she didn't get rid of it, right? Because this is important evidence. This is the most important goddamn thing in the world, and they arrested her. So great, our fucking heroes, rushed to our rescue, arrest Michael's wife and Michael, and they charged them with unlawful extraction of marijuana concentrate, possession of a controlled substance with the intent to distribute, possession with the intent to distribute marijuana concentrate, tamper with evidence, reckless endangerment. 5 charges. 5 charges was put on Michael Gardner for, just a bonehead mistake, which nobody got hurt, so thank God nobody got hurt. But actually people did get hurt. Michael and his wife is getting hurt. She got arrested for unlawful extraction of marijuana concentrate. So that seems crazy to me. I mean, it goes against privacy. What you do in the, privacy of your own home is your business. Now, it makes me think of meth labs. If the chemistry is that dangerous, and so, there is the possibility that it could affect your neighbors. But still, okay, so even if, I'm not going to say that they're innocent, but let's compare this to the explosion that's going to happen when the, oil company, the gas and oil company is responsible. How many people you think get arrested? How many people you think get charged? How many people go to jail because of the oil company's mistake that killed people? Channel News 13, ABC, KRDO, at least Holly Morrison puts her name on this article, okay? So Holly Morrison, this is the only name of any of the so-called people that got this story out, right? So let's see, let's just reverse the roles, right? Let's call the people in the home the authorities and the cops the criminals. So you got the authorities. The authorities had a bonehead mistake. They put up, some water in a jar and it exploded. Now, the authorities were now attacked. They were attacked by some criminals. These criminals stole everything. They, harassed them. They stole everything. They falsely imprisoned the authorities. They took the authorities and they threw the authorities in jail, and they're putting 5 charges on top of the authorities and saying, you have to pay us money. You got to give us a bail money. Put it through the car wash, right? The criminal justice system. Does that sound okay to you? The Pueblo Chieftain, which is the main daily here for the city of Pueblo, they have the exact same article. So it seems like they copy and pasted. They cleaned it up a little bit. They didn't just say suspected marijuana. They went ahead and just wrote that it was marijuana. And, I didn't even know that unlawful extraction of marijuana concentrate, that's illegal. Apparently it is. And then I don't know how they thought that they were going to distribute, right? They could have just been making hash oil for themselves. And hash oil is medicine for cancer and, glaucoma and Parkinson's. It helps with the symptoms of Parkinson's and some other stuff. So, yeah, they're going after doctors. They're going after pharmaceutical providers now. Okay, so the chieftain, they added one part. They said both are being held at jail without bail, pending court appearances on Tuesday. So they would go before the judge. It would happen on Tuesday morning, like at 1, 2 in the morning, and then jail. Compare this explosion in Pueblo County to this explosion in Firestone, Colorado. So about 30 miles north of Denver in Firestone, you have a fatal Colorado gas explosion that kills 2 men. Okay, a red-orange fireball killed 2 people, destroyed a Colorado home, prompted the governor, Hickenlooper, to order sweeping inspections of natural gas lines, and it's certain to worsen tensions in a state already divided over how to regulate the industry. So they said that the April 17th explosion was caused by a leak in an old gas line that was believed to be out of service, but was connected to a producing gas well, for reasons they still do not know. So they're saying that there was an abandoned well, but then they reused the well, and then there's this line, and it was cut, but it wasn't capped. So that makes no sense. It makes no sense. Why would there be a line that wasn't capped? You Firestone, in the home of Mark and Aaron Martinez, the line had been cut about 10 feet away from the home, and then the line is 7 feet down in the ground. And then they said that it snaked up the gas, an odorless gas, snaked its way through the basement. And then you have Mark Martinez, who is working with his brother-in-law, Joseph William Irvin III, who was Aaron Martinez's brother. They were working on the water heater in the basement, and when they were working on the water heater in the basement, they, lit a match, and then boom, the whole house just got leveled. And Aaron Martinez was badly burned. The Martinez youngest son was also hurt, but Mark Martinez and Joseph William Irvin III were killed outright. Right? They're dead. Now the pipeline was 1 inch. Who's responsible? So it could be user error, right? They were experienced plumbers or home workers. The two guys were. So could they have opened the gas line and then set on fire? The investigation is saying that it was a gas line outside the house that had seeped into the house. So who's responsible for that gas line? Well, it's Anadarko Petroleum. So Anadarko Petroleum is a corporation. They responded to the incident in late April by closing down 3,000 wells in the county. So in Weld County, in Firestone, Weld County, just north of Denver, they had one. I don't know why it's just 3,000 wells. They closed 3,000. How many wells were there? And they could just close them down like they're not shit. Right? Don't they need? Where are they going to get the gas now? Isn't it going to be more expensive? All 3,000 wells are bad? Just one well, just the line was Anadarko Petroleum. The Great Western Oil and Gas Company did the same thing. They closed a bunch of wells wherever they're located. So Anadarko's well was situated 200 feet away from the home. So I don't even know why they're closing these wells since it was an open line. They said the original well was drilled by a previous operator in 1993, but they had re-tapped into it. And local authorities said that non-odorized gas had seeped into a nearby home through an abandoned pipeline. Okay, so a nearby home. It wasn't even in their home. It was in there's several things that Hinkenloper is talking about. He's saying that there should be pressurized lines. So if there's a drop in pressure, then you know that there's a leak. The gas should be odorized, so that way you could smell it. It would just be in the air. And he's calling for inspections to ensure abandoned lines are properly sealed, among other things. Natural gas pipeline owned by Pacific Gas and Electric Company had burst open in September 2011, sparking a massive fireball that ripped through a San Bruno neighborhood, killing 8 people and destroying 37 homes. So these natural gas lines are no joke. These natural gas lines killed 2 people. 2 individuals were killed last month, dead. So this explosion in Firestone killed people. The explosion in Pueblo didn't kill anybody. So thank God everybody was safe, right? But the authorities didn't give a shit if everybody was safe. They wanted to see who they could fuck with. So you're going to have powerless people. Powerless people are guaranteed to go to jail and get 5 charges put on top of them, husband and wife. CEO Al Walker, is Al Walker going to go to jail? He says he's going to take all the necessary and appropriate steps, right? He puts out a statement. So that's good enough. That's all we need from him, right? Nobody goes to jail. These groups are trying to get home rule for the local municipalities, the local cities and counties, to have power over the regulations of, gas. And so the legislature actually killed the proposal that would have increased the minimum distance between schools and new oil and gas facilities. So they're not even protecting the kids when it comes to oil and gas. It seems like the oil and gas industry is the most important industry, making sure they get profits, making sure they get a shit ton of money, and who gives a shit about the safety of the people. So they killed 2 people. Anadarko killed 2 people. That Mike and his wife didn't kill anybody. Okay, but they were, taken. Violence was used. They were held against their will. They were put into jail, and now their, reputation and their names are just being run through the muck. Are we doing any of that with Anadarko? Is Anadarko Petroleum? So they said that the line was severed. It was a clear cut. The line was clearly cut. Oil and Gas Conservation Commission Director Matt Lepore said the line was cleanly cut, which means that it could have been severed by construction equipment while the neighborhood was being built. Okay, so now we have somebody else that's, a culprit. The people who are building the houses, the construction company that built those houses, cut that line, and then the gas company didn't have the pressurized gas, didn't have the pressure, see the pressure, whatever, drop, and then it wasn't odorized, so people could have detected it. So they could have done more. They could, the Anadarko is negligent, but it seems like it's this construction company. Now we need to know the name of the construction company. So, I mean, everybody's going ape shit over this, as they should, right? It killed 2 people, but compare these articles. The name is clearly put on the articles, ABC, and then they had then the name of the author, the person who wrote it. I just X'd it out of it, but the name of the author and their name of the authority. So the authority peoples are being named, and then so this completely 2 different. One, you got powerless people, regular citizens, right, trying to make a buck. And then you have a big corporate conglomerate, and they're not just trying to make a buck, right? Here's what Al Walker says. He goes, I know I speak for everyone at Anadarko when I say that our thoughts and prayers remain with the Martinez and Irwin families as they continue to mourn the loss of their loved ones. The safety of our employees and the people who live and work in the communities in which we operate is our #1 priority. Not making money, it's the safety of you, the people. Please keep buying our product. Please don't sue us and take all of our damn money. Al Walker, Anadarko Chairman, President, and CEO. Anadarko Petroleum. Anadarko Petroleum Corporation is an American petroleum natural gas exploration production company headquartered in the Woodlands, Texas. And that's the city, the Woodlands. It's 2 words called the Woodlands. The Allison Tower and the Hatchet Tower, both named after former CEOs of the company. Those are the 2 skyscrapers. So Anadarko Petroleum has 2 huge skyscrapers in the Woodlands, right? Hackett Tower, Allison Tower. The buildings were completed in 2014. They are, settlement related to the former Tronic subsidiary Kerr McGee. They were founded in 1959. They are New York Stock Exchange. They're traded on the New York Stock Exchange. They have natural gas and natural gas liquids, petroleum, 792,000 barrels of oil equivalent, so that's 4.8. The company is actually struggling. They're not doing that great. They're having, they're reporting all these losses in the billions. In 2016, Anadarko Petroleum had to cut its quarterly dividends from 27 cents per share to only 5 cents per share. So before, people were making like a little bit more than a quarter per share, but now they're only making a nickel, and that's, last year. So Anadarko Petroleum they're struggling, they're having a hell of a time being able to make all that profits, and especially when shit like this happens, right? And I'm sure it's a corporation. I'm sure they're going to try to disparage the 2 in court, and just blame it on them. But it was a clearly cut line, and so they should get that construction company. If I was Anadarko, I would blame it all on the construction company, even though there were things that Anadarko could have done. Now, recently, the corporation Anadarko Petroleum Corporation, the oil and gas producer, have reported a bigger than expected quarterly loss on Tuesday. So they're going down. It looks like 52.5. They've gone down 2 points, whatever these points, I don't know what they are, but they're saying that expenses rose 53%, failing to offset gains from higher crude prices. North American oil producers face prolonged weakness in their crude prices after oil hit near record lows in February 2016, which chewed into their profit margins and eroded cash flows. Anadarko's total costs and expenses surged to $3.8 billion in the first quarter, ended March 31st, from $2.5 billion in the year-ago period. So, wow, they're paying, a whole nother billion more, right? $3.8 billion now versus last year, $2.5 billion, so $1.3 billion more. Exploration expense. Here's a picture of Al Walker. This is the CEO of Anadarko Petroleum. So I don't know who, the Oak Valley construction company, I don't know who in Firestone who, built that subdivision. We do need to know that company, because we are seeing a corporate coup d'etat. We are seeing these anonymous, nameless corporations come in, run roughshod over everybody, and nobody gets blamed. Nobody gets, nobody points a finger at this guy. This guy doesn't go to jail. Al Walker, his negligence, his company's negligence in combination with that construction company led to 2 people dying. Now, is he being paraded around? Is he being arrested? Is his name being, dragged through the mud? No. He won't be arrested. Nobody's going to grab him. He's got money. He's got power. So, you know, let's respect him, but fortunately, there is a branch of government that is pretty much unchecked. And how many people are going to make money? You know, the criminal justice system, they need to pay the public attorneys, they need to pay the jailers, they need to pay the arresting officers, the judges, right? There's an entire industry here. The cops go out there, they go after the poor, powerless people, right, who don't know any better, who's dumb enough to call 911 themselves and tell on themselves and admit, you know, what had happened. If I'm the police officer in Pueblo, I'm happy that the explosion didn't hurt anybody else, and, you know, I'm telling them not to do it again, and I'm taking their stuff. But am I ruining their lives? You know, I don't know. But compare it to this explosion, and you have Walker. R.A. Walker is going to get away with it scot-free. That construction company is going to get away with it scot-free. They might, you know, somebody might sue them, but nobody's going to get arrested. Nobody's going to get imprisoned. More quick details. The explosion and the fire happened at about 4:45 p.m. on April 17th in the 6300 block of Twilight Avenue. So that's where it happened in Firestone, Colorado. The deadly home explosion, right? This natural gas explodes, kills 2 people, Mark Martinez and Joey Irwin, R.I.P. So 2 people are dead, and then the house is leveled. The wife is injured, the baby is injured, and it said that the severe injury to Aaron Martinez, all of these people, was through an unrefined, non-odorized gas that entered the home through a French drain and sump pit due to a cut abandoned gas flow line attached to an oil and gas well in the vicinity that, while abandoned, had not been disconnected from the well head and cap, firefighters said in a statement. So I thought it was interesting that it was outside and then it seeps through a French drain. Commonly called a French drain is what we call a bonded deep channel pressure relief system. This is because it relieves the hydrostatic pressure, the water pressure from the footing area. So the French drains used to be simple ditches pitched from a high area to a lower area, and it's filled in with gravel. So the French ditch is just a gravel ditch, right? That's all it is, a ditch filled with gravel going downhill. And then this article is French drain versus a sump pump. What's the difference? So eventually it says, French system is designed to prevent water from flooding your basement. It's installed inside the basement below the floor around the perimeter. This French drain controls the water, delivers it to the sump pumps, and discharges it out of the house. The system comes with a lifetime guarantee that your basement floor will not have any water on it. To install this kind of drain, the inside perimeter of the floor is cut approximately 1 foot from the wall. A trench is There's this company, WaterGuard System. They're saying it's an innovative interior French drain that captures water before it reaches your basement floor. Then it transports the water to a sump pit. When the water level in the sump pit or sump liner elevates a float valve, the pump turns on and discharges the water outside your home. So that's a picture of it, right, wherever. And the last thing I want to mention, I didn't mention this in the last video, but Gene Fish is missing. Gene Fish had been missing for quite some time. He comes from Fremont County. He was there, and he, bought a house or bought 35 acres in 1999, 2003. He just goes missing out of nowhere, out of the blue. So if you've seen this man, Gene Fish, know that he is missing, and to, tell somebody if you see him, or hug him, be like, hey, thank God you're alive, But Fremont County, Gene Fish is this man's name.